Good morning, zookeepers, and welcome back. Today we're making an enclosure for the Coquerel Sifaka, and it's something I'm excited to make because I really do like these little lemurs. They are really cute, full of character. Now my idea behind it is going to be like a lemur house in the middle, and the guests can sort of like walk in and have a look inside the house through this little path area, and then around it like almost like a bird cage style enclosure. I did look at one Coquerel Sifaka enclosure, and it was literally just, it looked like an aviary, like a small aviary. So I took that idea and then I added my own things to it. That's because it's the only picture I looked at, and the rest of them were just like so. And I was like, yeah, you know what, I'm going to make this my own and have my own style and idea behind it. Just having that sort of like aviary kind of feel all around this building. And honestly, I had a lot of fun making this. It took a while. I think I spent an hour and a half building this building. I would add it to the shop, but apparently there's over 4,000 pieces to this, which I'm really shocked by. I didn't realize I'd placed that many items. I don't know if the game's lying to me or not, but according to the game, I can't put it in workshop because there's too many pieces. But it happens, I suppose. Honestly, I have no idea how I managed to use that many pieces, but I had great fun making it. Like, I've made it nice and simple on the inside, so it technically would be super easy to clean. It's got a few little bits of climbing frames here and there, which we'll see a little bit later on. As you can see right now, I'm just doing the building, trying to add a little bit of detail to it, neaten it up, add it so it's like got plasterboard on the inside so you can't really see the bricks, and then it looks like there's like something in between the brickwork and the wood, which I really do like that little aesthetic. Usually I use the thicker metal beams, but I thought a little tiny strip of metal looks actually quite nice. Like, the overall style of it for me I was quite happy with. And then again went around sorting out all the little bit of plasterboard that's sticking through the wall, which I didn't want to be seen. Again, I have to say a big thank you to Frontier, who gave me this DLC so I was able to show you exactly everything that was in that DLC. And now, like I said, we're going around making the actual enclosures for each of the DLC animals from the Zookeeper's Animal Pack. And there are some really great creatures in this pack, and this is just one of those. Like, I don't think there's one where I've gone, I've actually enjoyed every single animal in this pack so far. I think this is the third enclosure we made, or the fourth. I think it's the fourth enclosure we made. I think it's the fourth one we've made. We've got 3 creatures left to go to make enclosures for, and eventually we will return back to Mesa Zoo. Don't you worry, I haven't forgotten about that. I just thought I'll make enclosures for each of these new creatures for the first time, and then we'll go back to Mesa Zoo. So that's something we'll do in the future. Now what I'm doing is the aviary style bit, and I really wanted, like, I like the idea when you go to some enclosures where the mesh is on top and you have glass at the bottom, so you have this like undisturbed scene of being able to see the animals, because obviously looking through mesh isn't all that nice. Well, not nice, it just means like it's just nice to be able to see them as clear as you can through the glass, and especially if the zoo keeps up with cleaning that glass. And that's the kind of idea I was going for with that one. And then the roof, I just kept it nice and simple with like how it's all supported mainly from the building and the outside poles there. And then later on we'll be adding the mesh to it. It took me a little while just to line everything up, because I suppose I could have just done it all in one grid and then go afterwards deleting all the other pieces, but then I was like, no, that's going to take a lot longer than I'd probably want to spend. I already spent like an hour and a half on it, which is like, I nearly ran out of time, in the sense of that I wouldn't have been able to even edit this video with the like small amount of time that I actually had. But nevertheless, I feel like I managed to accomplish something that I really enjoyed the look of. The only thing I might actually do to this enclosure is maybe edit the roof a bit. You'll see why a little bit later on. Anyways, we go using the little stone and grass technique, which I've really loved doing. And again, I have to thank Caesar Crates for actually showing me how this is done from one of his videos. I was like, oh yeah, this is a cool way of doing it. I'm going to start doing it a bit like this now, and this is how I'm going to do this zoo anyways. with all the little animal pack, zookeeper animal pack creatures. As it's a really nice way of like actually doing this rather than using all brushes. You're sort of using your own plants and you build it up over time. Like right now we're starting with buffalo grass and we'll use a few other grasses and plants to build this up, and it just adds like a really nice effect. If you're wondering what the rock is underneath, is the folks rock, and there's these little clusters. I just changed the colours of them to the way I'd like them, and honestly, yeah, it's just a really nice effect. After all the grass, we start like using like bushes and other taller grass species knocking about to fill it out. And like I said, I try and keep in all the enclosures nearly the same with the kind of plant theming, with only changing it up here and there. I usually do make it so it's the plants that the animals like, but honestly we ain't going to fit many trees in here or any really tall plants, so I was just going for what I like the look of, and keeping with the like a similar theme to the rest of the enclosures that we've built so far. Like honestly, again, like at the end of this I'm really just like looking at these planters, like the way I've got it. I was like, oh, that I really like that. And then we go around adding a load of dry grass to the ends of these little planter areas, because my idea is the path is going to be sand rather than dirt. Again, I just really like how sand makes everything pop out even more, especially like the contrast between the green and the yellow goldenness of the sand. And the Sifakas look really cute dancing around in the sand, like they really stand out on it, and they also use the paths, and it just overall looks nice at the end. Again, right at the end you'll see what I mean by that. And then I was just going around adding more bushes and things, just trying to thick it out a little bit, but not too much. I take away complete view of the Sifaka when they're like running around on the ground. Another reason why I didn't do like way too many climbing frames, because I love seeing that jumping animation, like the way they're walking around, bouncing around and things like this. I really like that animation, so I didn't add too much of a climbing like frame to this. Some climbing frames to get in and out of the building, and then some sort of climbing frame like on the outside and inside, you know, like only small things. I go around on the actual bushy areas as well, adding the natural wood climbing items, because I think it looks really cool in the end, because it looks like, oh, they've had to chop that tree down because it's got too tall and would have been breaking the mesh on the roof, allowing them to escape. And it does have that kind of feel to it, and I was like, oh, okay, that's really cool. And also they can like jump onto it and climb on it if they wish, and it just, yeah, it looks great. I did enjoy making these little platforms and the way in and out on this little dinky bridge, which looks super cute, especially when you see them running across it, going from the outdoors to the indoors. And then I ran around just trying to make it look like it was like properly supported and wasn't just like a you know, like just a few logs sticking out of the ground. And this is what I meant, like I was using the little climbing tree log things and just docking them around in the planter areas and just sort of trying to make them look a bit different from each other. And I thought that was, yeah, it was really cool. And then I went around adding other bits of enrichment. I did want to get the foraging box in there, but where I wanted it, the game was like, yeah, you can't have it there. And I don't really know why, but yeah, it's just how the cookie crumbles, I suppose. I did this little table here because in my head you can imagine like zookeepers, like that's where they put some of the food, so they bring them up to the windows. And then we did these little raised bed areas, so it looked kind of cool. I like the idea of raised beds, especially so they're not just sleeping on the ground. And then put a load of straw on there. I can imagine it'd be so much easier on your back to clean those, like the reality of it. But yeah, honestly it looks good. And then I was going to have a food platform, and then I was like, there's nowhere here that I could add it that I'd really like the idea of it. So I was like, the zookeepers can just sort of throw it on the floor for them. They can be scatter fed. That was the idea in the end, because I was like, no, it's not going to go anywhere that I like the look of. I wish there was an even smaller food platform that could be placed down, but hey, it is what it is. And then I just went around adding the mesh onto the roof just to finish off the enclosure itself, and that took a little while. And then it was just down to the little guest area, so I added this nice little window, added these beams into it. It's a like one-way viewing glass, so then they have a little bit of privacy inside the house. And then we went onto the roof, and I just did this technique. I think it's animal gaming that I learnt this from where you just place down the block on the grid, and then you place down the actual thing on top, and then you can just lower it, and you can have a nice thin roof. Now I was going to mess around with another idea, but then in the end I was like, nah, I'm not going to do that. I changed my mind. And then I went inside, whitening up the roof with white plaster, so then it looked a bit brighter in there, and didn't seem so small and dark. And when you add the light on there, it's going to reflect around a lot more and look a lot bright in there, a lot prettier, easier to see the Sifaka rather than being like quite dark and dull, which I feel like it goes with the rest of the theme. Inside the building it's really nice and bright with the wood and the white plasters. I felt like it was really good. And then I was sort of like looking around, what do I want as a support as a roof inside the guest area, and then kind of off camera I find the Sifaka like wall stickers and add those all over those beams. I thought it looks kind of cool, kind of like something you'd see at the zoo. And yeah, this is it. I also made a sign. I completely forgot to record that. I made a sign for them, and I quite like the way it looks with the entrance to seeing the inside bit. I have gone back and also lowered my guest count because it was getting a bit laggy. There was like the opportunity to think it was like 5,000 guests or something like that. So I was like, yeah, I'm going to have to yeah, lower that down. So it's getting a bit laggy at points. Like I've had to cut this video. Usually I do like a whole train all the way through, but at certain aspects it just was like glitching a little bit, and I was like, oh, glitching too much, should I say? And I was like, yeah, okay, we'll lower the guest count, and then we'll go back and retake a few shots. But honestly, I love this enclosure. I feel like I'm quite proud of this enclosure. I'm pretty happy with it. Like I said, there's only a few aspects I was going to go and change. Like originally these were going to be sliding doors here, but then with the way I've got this little bridge in and out, I was like, you know what, I'll go against it. I'll leave it as it is, and it still looks nice. I might add like a fake sliding door that's open later on when I figure out how to make that without it looking a bit goofy, and then maybe do something a little bit with the roof. I'm not 100% sure yet, but honestly, these are great creatures. Anyways, I hope you've enjoyed this, and thank you for watching. And as always, till next time, I'll see you later.